No hiccups today. Holy Christ, he's on time, he's on point, and he's still ugly as fuck. Let's get right into it then. Maybe we'll have some fun watching the not State of the Union address to Congress after this. Depends on how I'm feeling. Might start another stream. I don't know. Enough delay. Back to the news. So first story we've got would be China vows to fight till the end as Trump escalates the trade war. China has vowed to fight to the end after U.S. President Donald Trump escalated his trade war by doubling tariffs on all Chinese imports by 20% or to 20%. From Beijing, CNN, China has vowed to fight to the end after U.S. President Donald Trump escalated his trade war by doubling tariffs on all Chinese imports to 20%. Beijing hit back at Trump's levies by imposing retaliatory tariffs of up to 15% on selected American goods, expanding export controls to a dozen U.S. firms, and filing a lawsuit at the World Trade Organization. Okay, what's that lawsuit going to do? You ain't got no enforcement. Peace off, you wankas. It also sent a stern warning to the Trump administration. Chinese people will never bow to hegemony or bullying. Yeah, tell that to your government, you fucking retards. Like, oh, we're not going to bow to hegemony or bullying? Bro, your leader that looks like Winnie the Pooh puts people in camps to force labor because they are Muslim or Falun Gong practitioners. You literally have a state-sponsored organ harvesting operation going. Do not talk to me about hegemony and bullying. You will bow because you're used to it, fuckers. Pressure, coercion, and threats are not the right ways to engage with China. Well, we're not engaging with China, technically. It's the People's Republic of China. Real China is Taiwan, and we're cool with them. This is the occupied former West Taiwan. It's the former West Taiwan occupied zone, I guess would be the more accurate way to put it. Like, get fucked. Trying to exert maximum pressure on China is a miscalculation and a mistake, Lin Jian, a spokesperson for China's foreign ministry, told a regular news briefing Tuesday afternoon. If the U.S. insists on waging a tariff war, trade war, or other kind of war, China will fight to the end. Your terms of engagement are acceptable. Like, if you don't want tariff war, here's an idea. Force companies that manufacture things in China to abide by the U.S.'s, or some other self-imposed, but some kind of environmental regulation and labor regulation. The reason we have to put tariffs on that is because we don't have 3-year-olds that we can stick in fucking factories and force to put iPhones together for, a bowl of rice a day. It's disingenuous and really insulting to our intelligence to even play stupid here. Like, which reminds me of one of my favorite jokes. Me Chinese, me play joke, me put fentanyl in your coke. Anyway, the barrage of retaliatory measures and fiery exchanges came as Chinese leader Winnie the Pooh, aka Xi Jinping, is preparing to hold a major political gathering designed to project confidence in his country's ability to stay the course and weather external headwinds. In other news, they are going to be flexing their hegemony and bullying people they don't like. As thousands of delegates convene in the Chinese capital for the country's 2 sessions annual meeting, Xi and his officials are set to use the highly choreographed spectacle to broadcast China as a major power steadily advancing its tech prowess and global rise, achieved through subterfuge and theft of intellectual property from American and other research facilities the world over. Still haven't apologized for COVID either, you fucks. That escalating rivalry between the two powers will be in the spotlight on Wednesday morning in Beijing, when Trump's first address to Congress will roughly coincide with a State of the Union-like speech delivered by China's number 2 official, Li Qiang, at the opening meeting of the National People's Congress, which rubber stamps decisions already made behind closed doors. Um, There, Lee is expected to announce China's yearly targets for economic growth and military spending. Fluffed and might be spending a lot of money, but all your stuff is made in China, so. And lay out how Beijing plans to continue its economic growth and transformation into a technological powerhouse in the face of mounting pressure from the United States. Now, why is there mounting pressure from the United States? Does it have anything to do with the fact that you allow exploitation of labor to beat fair labor practices in the market on their price so that you come to dominate the world economically through your exports of products made with cheap fucking bullshit slave labor? I wonder, maybe you'd be under less pressure if you didn't do that? Exemptions from economic control or climate agreements and environmental policies agreed by the world and enforced only on developed nations, read Western nations, that are guilted into this bullshit, while China gets to be an economic powerhouse and simultaneously an underdeveloped country in terms of how we look at their pollution. Like, come on. Despite the challenges, analysts aren't bracing for any major policy surprises or U-turns from the roughly week-long meetings of both the NPC. I love that that's so funny. National People's Conference is the NPC. That is, you couldn't write, who's writing this season of the world? This is so funny. True decision-making power lies within the Chinese Communist Party, whose authority cannot be challenged in the country. And she, the party's most powerful leader in decades. Yeah, that whole thing about the bullying and the bowing. You're doing a lot of bowing. Increased tariffs and the threat of more economic and tech controls to come are casting a long shadow over China's two sessions, which observers will also be watching for signs on how Beijing will continue to address its rumbling economic difficulties at home. Yeah, got some questions about them ghost cities you got there, buddy. And signs point to Beijing staying the course on its leader strategies and to bolster innovation, industry, and self-sufficiency to steel itself against frictions ahead, all the while projecting that, in China, it's business as usual, served with a side of gutter oil and sadness. We must face difficulties head-on and strengthen confidence amid growing external challenges, the Communist Party journal Quishi quoted Xi as saying in an article released Friday that's meant to set the tone for the gathering. High-tech prowess. China is entering this year's two sessions buoyed by a surge of confidence and national pride in its tech sector. Earlier this year, privately owned Chinese AI firm DeepSeek stunned Silicon Valley with the breakout success of its latest open-source large language model. It was largely based on all the research and lessons learned by Western LLMs. That whole intellectual property theft thing. Adding to that milestone, Beijing's long-term plans for achieving global dominance in green technologies have borne fruit, with its top electric vehicle maker rivaling Elon Musk's Tesla. That's all fine and dandy and nice, but you might be dominant in green energy production? Are you dominant in using it over coal-fired Yeah! Can't. China's leaders are expected to continue to prioritize investment and in innovation and making the world's second largest economy self-sufficient in high-tech. Xi and his cadres see high-end chips, quantum computing, robotics, and AI as critical to powering economic growth and upgrading Chinese manufacturing. That's a really nice way of saying beating everybody else to making Skynet. China needs to find a new engine for its economic development. The old model, big infrastructure, construction-driven one, is probably not going to work. Yeah, just ask your ghost cities. And the high-tech sector is the most feasible path China has, said political scholar Liu Dongshu of the City University of Hong Kong. China will prioritize this, and U.S. pressures make this more urgent. We could just work together. We could just be cool. But, there's that whole sticky situation of, your leader being a fucking dictator. Reject communism. Embrace secular Western principles. Come on, China, don't you want drag shows for kids? Last month, Washington said it was considering expanding restrictions on U.S. investment in sensitive technologies in China and would continue to restrict Chinese investment in strategic American sectors, but will still let them buy property here. But it's not all negative pressure, Luce added, as China sees an opportunity to replace the U.S. in some parts of the world order. This is Thucydides' trap, where you have a dominant economic power, and then you have the rising economic power. And history, I think in like 9 of the last 11 or so examples, something like that. It's some ridiculously high number of the last examples of this where the dominant power was challenged by a rising power. It didn't work out so good for the dominant power. So we do kind of have a little bit to be concerned about here as Americans, especially when we're allowing our closest rival, near-peer person to infiltrate our universities and our research projects and expatriate that information, especially when we're funding research into what's definitely not a bioweapon in laboratories near a certain wet market known for pangolins and bats, especially not when we are domestically equating our leader who won the Electoral College and the popular vote as a non-democratic dictator, but we're ignoring the very real dictator across the Pacific who is putting Uyghurs in concentration camps, as well as the Falun Gong practitioners, and they are being thanked by Disney for letting them film near these places. Like, I would love it if China could be a whole partner. If China could be a respectable partner. If China could just scale its human rights violations and abuses back to something resembling our allies. Not even like go the extra mile and start self-flagellating for all of their wrongs. Just don't do as many of the genocides and the organ harvesting and the locking up and rounding up of political dissidents. Like, just scale that back a little bit. You don't even have to stop it entirely. You wean yourself off. It'd be like what we have to do when our people are trying to get off of the fentanyl that China sends over the border. Can't just cold turkey that shit. Gotta step it down. Like, it's ridiculous, the glazing that this article is doing for China, spinning them as some kind of, they're not spinning them as a savior, but they're definitely not, like, pointing out, as I am, and I agreed, I'm doing it a little more than I would expect a reasonable article to do, but this is very favorable to just the whole concept of it. China may think that since DeepSeek's success, it can be the leader in global AI over the US, or similarly in areas like climate change, where electric vehicles might be China's signature policy to solve the climate change problem. I would bet on that, not saving the climate or solving the climate change problem. I would bet on there not being a climate change problem, and you know why? Well, so if climate change, rising sea levels, is a problem, right? If this is a problem, and it's dire enough to, torch our economies over, does it make sense that any bank would finance a 30-year term on beachfront property, 20-year term on beachfront property, 10-year term on beachfront property? Why is it that celebrities, politicians, people with money the world over still seem to buy coastal property, despite it being obviously a horrible investment that's going to be underwater if we don't change our ways? See, the whole thing with the and furthermore, okay, you change your climate change problem from an out of the tailpipe of a car to out of the smokestack that generates the electricity to charge the cars. You pollute the environment through mining the lithium and the other minerals and metals that are needed to make the batteries. Like, we can have these newer technologies that are green technologies. I agree with them in principle that we should do more to protect our environment, but when we are completely ignoring nuclear all over the place or fighting it because we don't want the waste to be trucked through, trucked on a highway to disposal, like, the NIMBYism bullshit in America's got to stop. And this right here is just complete this is just spin, pure and simple. The Earth's magnetosphere is what is going up, is what's the problem. It's been steadily declining since we started keeping records. The Carrington event in the 1850s was the first of many things to come, and doesn't it startle anybody or catch anybody a little as striking that seeing the auroras as at low latitudes like where I'm at in Arizona used to be like a once in a lifetime, maybe twice in a lifetime type thing, requiring massively powerful solar storms. And last year alone, I think it was like almost 10 times or something like that. I counted articles about it on weaker and weaker and weaker ejecta. It's not climate change. It's not climate change. It's all happened before, though, and it's all going to happen time and time again. It's a cycle. But that's why I do the space weather. If you can read between the lines. Moving on. Observers will also be watching closely what steps Beijing may take to unleash private industry to advance innovation as it gears up for the potential of more restrictions from the U.S. These tariffs might end up actually being a good thing for China. Maybe we tariff them so hard that they realize we're right. And that communism is bullshit. She sent a strong signal that China needed its entrepreneurs to step up in the fight last month, hosting the country's top tech executives in Beijing, where he proclaimed it was prime time for private enterprises to give full play to their capabilities. Beijing followed the meeting with steps to improve market access for private firms and discussion of private economy promotion law, which could be passed in the months, if not days, ahead, seen as a significant course correction following years-long sweeping regulatory crackdown on private industry. Doubling down. The two sessions gathering is also set, as in past years, to reflect Xi's increasingly tight grip over China's political system. The leader used to use the 2018 NPC meeting to pave the way for him to stay in power indefinitely with the removal of the presidential two-term limit in the Chinese constitution. Literally fucking Hitler. It's all like... Last year, the scrapping of the long-standing annual press conference, led by the country's second highest-ranking official, was widely seen as another sign of Xi's control over the official narrative, and eliminated a rare chance for journalists to interact with top Chinese official. The event is not expected to resume this year. This year, the gathering is expected to again highlight how united the political apparatus is around his vision for the future despite the country's economic hurdles. The NPC this year will really be in the context of continuing to de-risk China's rise and really hardening its posture against global uncertainties, including Beijing's relationship with the US and Europe, says Nis Grünberg, a lead analyst at Merck's think tank in Germany. As China doubles down on this approach, deepening the role of the party and the core of the party, Xi Jinping, to steer this whole process is more important than ever to the leadership, he said. China's slowing economy has been roiled by a property sector crisis and high local government debt, while foreign investment has cratered, consumption has flagged, and young people struggle to find jobs. Hey, I see you, China. It gets better. Actually, it doesn't. It just gets worse. But don't let it beat you. China earlier this year reported 5% economic growth in 2024, a figure viewed with heavy skepticism by many external observers. Skepticism almost as heavy as the fucking pollution in that country. And analysts say it's likely to float a similar number for its GDP target this year. You ever notice how in these places the 10-time election champion is like winning 99% of the vote? That their economic growth exceeds expectations year after year after year after year. It's like a Potemkin village, but not a village or Russian. It's like a paper dragon. There you go. There you go. Signs for how Beijing plans to address these challenges will also be closely watched, after a raft of policy adjustments since last summer were seen as falling short. In the days ahead, Beijing may unveil new efforts to boost consumer spending, though through stimulus or social welfare benefits. Ooh, that would be funny to watch, because that would crash. U.S. tariffs make this even more urgent, observers say, as China's manufacturers may need to rely more heavily on the domestic market. Yes, 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 a million times fucking yes! When we're no longer seeing your cheap fucking bullshit consumer goods as a viable thing that we need, because we are actually seeing the real price as if they were manufactured here that it takes to make them, you're gonna have to figure somewhere to put all that fucking junk. Xi linked weak demand to China's economic security during a key Communist Party economic meeting late last year. According to his speech published Friday in Clichy, in a signal of increasing importance of addressing this issue. But even still, analysts see little sign of departure from Xi's primary focus on bolstering support for the industry. Jesus fuck, how long is this article? Beijing is likely to release policies to make sure that at least the big and some of the medium-sized industrial producers can survive additional tariffs, according to Victor Xin, director of University of California, San Diego's 21st Century China Center. I used to live in San Diego. Beijing is counting on its subsidized companies being able to weather those tariffs given the dependency of U.S. industries on Chinese goods, and to have its own firms ultimately come out dominant. We'll see about that. So, in a sense, they're not afraid of them, he added, of U.S. tariffs. In short term, such industrial support could create more friction with the U.S. and China's other trade partners. The country's reliance on exports as an agent of growth propelled it to nearly $1 trillion trade surplus with the rest of the world last year. Jesus fucking Christ. A driving factor for Trump's tariff push. You don't think, like, that right there should say, that right there, like, way to bury the lead, put it fucking next to the last paragraph of the article, you fucking twats. God damn. For China, that fits in with the wider message it's expected to send in the coming days. Even as headwinds mount, it's confidently staying the course and ready to be seen as a champion of global trade and order. Well, you certainly will be a champion of global order, given how you rule your own people with an iron fist and are constantly trying to take Taiwan like a fucking West Virginian trying to take his cousin. Next. Exclusive. U.S. and Ukraine prepare to sign minerals deal on Tuesday, sources say. Aw, Zelensky said he's sorry. Trump has told his advisors that he wants to announce the agreement in his address to Congress tonight, sources say, cautioning that the deal had yet to be signed and the situation could change. Yeah, don't walk into that one, homie. That would be just like teeing one up perfectly for Zelensky to dunk on him. Probably not the best idea, because he's probably got an axe to grind, or 2, or 10, or 50. You know how those Spetsnazes get. New York, March 4th, Reuters. U.S. President Donald Trump's administration and Ukraine plan to sign the much-debated minerals deal following a disastrous Oval Office meeting Friday in which Ukrainian... Disastrous for who? Hold up. Framing, motherfuckers. Wasn't disastrous. Unless you're Zelensky. Unless you're standing for Zelensky. If you're standing for Zelensky, yeah, absolutely disastrous. And he has no one to blame but himself. Because he acted like a petulant little fucking child. Show some goddamn respect, motherfucker. But for us, it wasn't disastrous for us. Water off a duck's back, man. We're the ones giving them money. Ukraine is literally our patron. Or we are literally their patron. Sorry, get that backwards. We'll patronize them all. We'll patronize them all we want, because we are paying them by their request, to potentially great peril of our own national security. So again, yeah, put some fucking respect on our name, motherfucker. Like, pretend it's a consonant in your last name and sprinkle it over ours. Disastrous Oval Office meeting Friday, in which Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, aka Giant Man Baby, was dismissed from the building. 4 people familiar with the situation said on Tuesday. Damn, he got dismissed officially from the building. Bruh. President Donald Trump has told his advisors that he wants to announce the agreement in his... already read that. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Ukraine's presidential administration in Kiev... You can't really call him a president right now anyway, because he suspended elections. Because, invasion. It's like, dude, we held elections through World War II, World War One. Granted, we weren't fighting them here, but World War One, World War Two, right after the Revolution, War of 1812, COVID lockdowns. I think you can manage. Dictators suspend elections. Like, to anybody who says that Zelensky's not a dictator because, it's a country under crisis. Let's roll back to 2020 and ask yourself how you would feel if Donald Trump suspended the election due to the COVID lockdowns. And you can't even be like, well, but that's different. Like, if we're free and fair, if we're a democracy, as many people wrongfully state we are, then anybody suspending elections for any reason. Like, if Zelensky's cause is valid and supported, then, the handful of people that are left in his country that haven't been sent off to die in the meat grinder will say as much. But I got a feeling that if he were to hold a vote, it might not pan out so well for his future as a politician. Plus, he killed a journalist. That fucking journalist that died, Gonzalo Lira, or whatever the fuck his name was. Dude died in Ukrainian custody, like, under his watch. He activates those almonds. Ukraine's presidential administration in Kiev and the Ukrainian embassy in Washington did not immediately respond to requests for comment either. The deal was put on hold on Friday after a contentious Oval Office meeting between Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that resulted in the Ukrainian leader's swift departure from the White House. Zelensky had traveled to Washington to sign the deal. Okay, this is so funny. Do they call out Zelensky anywhere in here? I don't see where they call out Zelensky anywhere in here yet, but we'll find out, maybe. In that meeting, Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance berated Zelensky, telling him he should thank the U.S. for its support rather than asking for additional aid in front of the U.S. media. He should. He should. Absolutely, 100%. To act like he was not acting like an ungrateful, coke-addled tyrant is to ignore what was caught on film and broadcast to the entire world. You're gambling with World War III, Trump said, correctly stating the gravity of the situation if allowed to spiral out of control. U.S. officials in recent days have spoken to officials in Kiev about signing the materials deal despite Friday's blowup, and urged Zelensky's advisors to convince the Ukrainian president to apologize openly to Trump, according to one of the people familiar with the matter. On Tuesday, Zelensky posted on X that Ukraine was ready to sign the deal and calling the Oval Office meeting regrettable. Apology accepted. Don't let it happen again. Our meeting in Washington at the White House on Friday did not go the way it was supposed to be, Zelensky said in his post. Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. It's unclear if the deal has changed. The deal that was to be signed last week included no explicit security guarantees for Ukraine, but gave the U.S. access to revenues from Ukraine's natural resources. It also envisaged, why not just say envisioned? It also envisaged the Ukrainian government contributing 50% of future monetization of any state-owned natural resource to a U.S. Ukraine-managed reconstruction investment fund. And that's the kind of shit kicker here to all of it that really fucking piles on the insult to the injury, is that the U.S.'s stake in the minerals there aren't to really do a whole lot with it as far as repaying it goes. It's repaying it so we can help rebuild them with their money. On Monday, Trump signaled that his administration remained open to signing a deal, telling reporters in a gaggle that Ukraine should be more appreciative. They fucking should. This country has stuck with them through thick and thin, Trump said. We've given them much more than Europe, and Europe should have given more than us. Yes, they're in Europe's fucking backyard. Okay. Yeah. That's that on that. Next. Yeah, Newsweek, your site looks ugly as fuck. Russia has agreed to help President Donald Trump, work with Iran over its nuclear program, Bloomberg reports. Citing people familiar with the situation, dude, who is people familiar with this situation? That is the most, interesting man on the earth, is people familiar with this situation. There's zero accountability in that label. There's zero credibility in that label. Source, literally, trust me, bro. Bloomberg stated Trump expressed an interest to work with Iran on both nuclear matters and Tehran's support for anti-U.S. proxies in the Middle East during a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin last month. Trump administration officials also discussed communicating with Iran in a meeting with their Russian counterparts at a summit in Saudi Arabia last month, the report said. He's working with Putin and the Iranians. Trump's evil dictator. The dude wants peace world over. He's trying to fucking smooth things out with one of our biggest, as long as I can remember, Iran has been in the news for being dicks, or for rightfully calling us out on us being dicks a long time ago. Irrespective, Iranian officials told The Telegraph that Tehran was considering the request from Putin. Why does this matter? In recent months, things have changed drastically for Iran following Trump's return to the White House. While Iran's 85-year-old supreme leader in August opened the door to negotiations with the West, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei slammed it shut again in February. Trump, while suggesting he was willing to negotiate with Tehran, also has embarked on a renewed maximum pressure campaign of sanctions. Pezeshkian himself on Sunday seemingly followed suit with Khamenei's new edict. My belief was that talks are better, but the Supreme Leader has said, we do not negotiate with the U.S. and we will go forward in the direction of the statements of our top leader. What to know? Iran has ramped up its production of near weapons grade uranium, significantly increasing tensions with Washington following Trump's return to the White House, according to a report by the United Nations nuclear watchdog obtained by the AP. The Vienna-based International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, that's a fucking hard one to enunciate, revealed in its latest quarterly assessment that as of February 8th, Iran's stockpile of uranium enriched up to 60% has surged to 274.8 kilograms, or 605.8 pounds American. A sharp increase of the 92 kilograms, 203.9 pounds, for those of you who have landed on the moon. Uh, since the agency's last report in November, this level of enrichment is just a technical step away from reaching 90% purity required for the nuclear weapons. Previous IAEA report in November 2024 estimated Iran's stockpile at 182.3 kilograms, 401.9 pounds American. Well, last August it stood at 164.7 kilograms, or 363.1 pounds in freedom units, underscoring Tehran's accelerating nuclear advancements. What people are saying. Dmitry Peskov, Kremlin spokesman. Russia believes that the U.S. and Iran should resolve all problems through negotiations. What a pussy. He doesn't want to see a fucking schoolyard brawl. Esmail Bagai. This person. I'm not even... Yes, I'm an American. Yes, I can't do foreign names. Yes, I'm uncultured for it. Fucking sue me. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry said at a press conference, given the significance of these matters, it's possible that many parties will show goodwill and readiness to help with various problems. That's vague as shit. From this perspective, it's natural that countries will present an offer of help if it's needed. Iranian official told the Telegraph, unnamed Iranian official, that is. Officials from the Kremlin contacted the Supreme National Security Council and said Putin wants to mediate and he's ready to facilitate direct talks between Iran and America. Sir, it is the United States of America, Esquire. Don't forget it. In a bold bid to reshape global diplomacy, Donald Trump has launched an ambitious series of peace initiatives, moving swiftly to address some of the world's most pressing conflicts within his first 100 days in office. The administration has deployed its diplomatic muscle, attempting to tackle multiple crises in rapid succession, first in Gaza, then in Ukraine, now reportedly shifting focus to Iran. The sweeping effort signaled Trump's intent to cement his legacy as a dealmaker on the world stage, even as geopolitical tensions remain high. And that's the thing about Trump. Even if he is the selfish motherfucker everybody thinks he is, even if all of that is true, even if he's only doing this for his legacy, who fucking cares? World peace is within our grasp. Like, I don't know how else to fucking convey. It does not matter what his motivations for that peace are. If we have peace, that is what matters. Like, I was born shortly after the Berlin Wall fell down, when communism was vanquished, we thought. Capitalism had won. Everything was great. Party in the USA, party in the USSR. Thank you, Metallica, for playing your concert there. It probably helped the Russians get pissed off enough to break down the wall so they could come to America and fucking beat your asses in because your music sucks. But I was born into the 90s. The 90s were wonderful. The 90s were amazing. We still had our little fucking issues here. Kosovo, Bosnia, Herzegovina, that other one I can't pronounce. You know, I think Somalia was around that time as well. Gulf War I. Like, it had its problems. But it was not the geopolitical clusterfuck that it is today. And we are still allowing the boomer mindset of Russia bad to taint everything. Like, Russia is probably the biggest reason the Nazis lost in World War II. We like to pat ourselves on the back and, you know, suck our own dicks about it. And the U.S. did play an important role in that. I'm not downplaying that. But when it comes to the European theater of that war, the Russians were they used the Zap Brannigan strategy, sending waves and waves of my own men at them until they just quit. Like, the Russians were unrelenting and also had a giant landmass that Hitler tried to invade in winter. Didn't work out so well for him. We did a lot in the Pacific. Like, Japan fucked with our boats and we hit them back so hard that they made anime. Like, but like, the European front, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it wasn't a collective effort, but give credit to your Soviet brothers that helped do the bulk of the work there. Granted, Stalin did kill 60 million people in the gulags over all of that, and it's a bit difficult to point out Hitler's problems while not also pointing to the larger pile of bodies sitting just a bit east of there in Russia, Holodomor in Ukraine. Like, that whole fucking area, like, that, just get rid of Europe, all of it. Get rid of Europe, get rid of Asia. Africa's not a problem, I guess. I don't think I'm allowed to say it is a problem. If I thought it was, would have to keep that to myself. Anyway, next. Supreme Court seems likely to block Mexico's $10 billion lawsuit against U.S. gun makers. Good. It's the stupidest fucking thing I've read all day. Supreme Court seemed likely Tuesday to block a $10 billion lawsuit Mexico filed against top firearm manufacturers in the U.S., alleging the companies have fueled cartel gun violence. Is Barack Obama named in this suit for his contribution to the Fast and Furious program, where the United States was giving fucking firearms to the cartels? Like, you're going after the people who made the guns, not the people who gave them to you? Let me guess, Mexico. Are you going to sue Toyota for getting in a crash? Are you going to sue a condom manufacturer for it not working? Are you going to go after Bill Gates for child pornography? There's no joke there in that one. That one, just a general question. I don't know why they would. But I mean, he did seem to be a little close to Epstein. Just saying. Just my opinion. Allegedly. Washington AP, the Supreme Court seemed likely Tuesday to block a $10 billion lawsuit Mexico filed against top firearm manufacturers in the U.S., alleging the companies have fueled cartel gun violence. Yes. The gun manufacturers that send them from the machines to the stores where they're sold fueled the cartel gun violence. Not the cartels themselves. No, definitely not. They didn't fuel the gun violence. It was the guns' fault. They picked it up and they just could not resist. If this was not a live stream, I've got one in my top drawer. I would pick it up and make a joke about it. Oh no, I must, it's going to stay in that drawer unless I take it out when somebody kicks in my front door. If someone kicks in my front door. Hopefully not. Hopefully that's not a win. Holy shit. No, it has nothing to do with black markets that prioritize, money and don't really care two fucks about crime, because what are you going to do about it? No, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with the human smuggling rings and the human trafficking rings that allow these people to profit and fight it out over territory to smuggle said people across. No, that has nothing to do with it. It is all the guns manufacturer's fault. Glock's Austria, and actually more of a horse semen producers, so that one doesn't count. But Smith & Wesson, Colt, Browning? Henry? Your days are numbered. Maybe. Probably not, because this is pants on head retarded. Both liberal and conservative justices appeared skeptical. Wow. That's surprising that both sides... I mean, conservative justices appearing skeptical that the claims... That's expected. The liberal ones being skeptical is surprising. I'm more shocked by that than anything else in this article. Appeared skeptical that the claims could clear hurdles in U.S. law that largely shield gun makers from lawsuits when their products are used in crime. Yeah, like, logic and fucking reason. That's not a hurdle of U.S. law. That's a hurdle of cause and fucking effect. Like, oh no, I'm gonna sue a match manufacturer because somebody lit a fucking fire? Get that lawsuit ready, California, I guess. Sue Bic because they burnt down somebody used a fucking Bic lighter to light a Molotov cocktail that burned down a house. Like, how fucking retarded is this shit? Like, this is stupid. This is why nobody takes us seriously. This is why we can't have nice things. Because dumb motherfuckers like these people... How do you even have standing? You're not an American citizen in your country. What the fuck? Big name manufacturers like Smith & Wesson appealed to the justices after a lower court let the suit go forward under an exception for a situation where gun companies are accused of violating the law. What law did the gun company violate? The gun company doesn't even sell it to the individual. The gun company makes it out of a piece of metal, puts it on a truck, and that's that. I don't understand how that's any... Why not sue Coca-Cola? Because the fucking cartels drink those. Why not sue, I don't know, Smithfield Pork? Because somebody had bacon that, like, it's... How fucking dumb are you people? An attorney from Mexico argued the case over economic harm linked to gun violence was still in its early stages and should be allowed to go forward. Okay. Where is the Mexican government in all of this? Oh, that's right. They're too busy bringing a fucking suit against U.S. gun manufacturers to actually, maybe enforce the laws that the cartels are breaking. Pretty sure murder's illegal in Mexico, too. I can't. Like, you have to... Brainlet. It hurts my brain just to try to fucking process this shit because it's so goddamn stupid. Justice Brett Kavanaugh, though, pointed to arguments that many products can be misused. Missing a B there. Who fucking proofread this, AP? God damn, fire your editors. Hire me instead. And a flood of lawsuits could hurt the U.S. economy. That's the real concern, I think, for me about accepting your theory, he said. No, the real concern, you fucking brainlet, dress-wearing retard, is that this violates basic causal logic. The gun manufacturers, again, I've said it like 3 fucking times at this point, the gun manufacturers make the guns, put them in a box, and then onto a truck. That is where it ends. Why are they any more responsible for what is done by the user of their products than anyone else? Can we countersue the cartels for people ODing on fentanyl that's put into the cocaine they sell to people? Or the fentanyl that they sell to people just in and of itself? Like, do you not understand how logic works, you fucking retard? I swear to God. Justice Samuel Alito raised questions about whether the U.S. could file suit against Mexico for illegal conduct. It links to activities there. Thank you! Someone with the sense to fucking rub 2 brain cells together and get an idea going. The arguments coincidentally come as President Donald Trump's long-threatened tariffs against Mexico and Canada go into effect. That has nothing to do with it. Way to tie it in. I mean... It's crossover nobody asked for, nobody wanted, nobody needed. Trump has said the tariffs are aimed in part on forcing the 2 U.S. neighbors to step up in their fight against fentanyl trafficking and stop illegal immigration. Enforce your own laws. Spend less time commenting on ours. Stay in your lane, fuckers. The case began 4 years ago when the Mexican government filed its blockbuster suit against some of the biggest gun companies, including Smith & Wesson, Beretta, Colt, and Glock Inc. Glock is Alright, first off, Glock is Austrian, and they are a horse semen manufacturer first, gun manufacturer second. Pretty sure Beretta is Italian. So, you're holding America responsible for, I guess, distribution of it? Again, like I opened this one with, where's Barack Obama's name in the list of people being sued here for his involvement in getting guns to the cartels through Operation Fast and Furious? Where's George Bush, who started that program? Like, this is just the stupidest reaching performative bullshit. Mexico has strict gun laws, and also the only other country with constitutional protection for firearms, and has just one store where people can legally buy firearms. But thousands of guns are smuggled in by the country's powerful drug cartels every year. Do you care about your border now? Mexican government says 70% of those weapons come from the United States. The lawsuit claimed claims that companies knew weapons were being sold to traffickers who smuggled them into Mexico and decided to cash in on the market. Okay, like, first off, I'm going to need to see sources on that. Secondly, so what? They are not the ones pulling the trigger. They are not the ones committing the crime. There is a Second Amendment where if you are a citizen, which I don't even think it should apply only to citizens. I think if you are a person living and breathing and not incarcerated, you have the right to fucking determine how to defend yourself. You have the right to own property. So who you are matters nothing to whether or not you should be able to buy a gun. Period. No ifs, ands, or butt fucks about it. Does a cartel fucking have reservations about selling people fucking drugs? No, I didn't think so. Do they have reservations about how old somebody is when they smuggle them across the border? No, I didn't think so. So why are we going after people who are doing their business above board, who are paying their taxes, who are adhering to the law, and not selling the American citizens? Like, you really think they would be doing, like, you really think that they would be doing that so directly when they refuse to even give us full autos to buy? Like, I get that full autos are federally illegal, but guns are illegal in Mexico, apparently. Pretty sure murder's illegal in both. The companies reject Mexico's claims because they're retarded, arguing the country comes nowhere close to showing they're responsible for a relatively few people using their products to commit violence. Yes, finally, somebody using the correct logic. A federal judge tossed out the lawsuit under a 2005 law that protects gun companies from most civil lawsuits, but an appeals court revived it. Gun manufacturers shouldn't need any protection from civil lawsuits because the use or misuse of a product is not the responsibility of the person who made it. It is the responsibility of the operator of the product. The fact that we are, well, if you didn't sell it to me, well, are we going to sue fucking spoon manufacturers for making people fat? Are we going to sue, not going to sue the fucking drug companies for all their bullshit. We're not going to sue the vaccine manufacturers for their, yeah. So, I don't know. I think that the U.S. has one of the best legal systems around, but it's still leaps and bounds away from what is even reasonable. The fact that a court would even fucking hear this in the first place and not laugh the person bringing the suit out of court and out of their fucking, like, whoever fucking filed this shit should be disbarred. This is retarded. That exception has come up in other cases. The victims of the 2012 mass shooting at Sandy Hook that was fake. Come at me. You money-grubbing, using bodies as a soapbox, disgusting fucking people. You should be ashamed of yourselves for the way that you've gone after Alex Jones. It has nothing to do with the claims he did. The fact that the suit was brought years after proves that. The fact that the damages rival the fucking GDP of France proves that. Fuck you. Victims of the alleged victims of the 2012 mass shooting at Sandy Hook, which was an op, for example, argued it applied to their lawsuit because the gun maker had violated state laws in marketing the AR-15 rifle used in the shooting, which 20 first graders and 6 educators were allegedly killed. How, like, they violated state law in the marketing of an AR-15 rifle. So because they had a constitutionally protected, like, First Amendment here, document making a statement that they had a product for sale. The claim is not that they misrepresented their product. Their claim is not that the product is not dangerous. The claim was gun i.e. dangerous item that go boom, is for sale, fuck it, like, these people. Dear God, please send the asteroid, please. The Supreme Court's eventual ruling, expected by late June, could also affect other similar lawsuits stemming from mass shootings. Just the general idea of holding somebody responsible for the actions of another person when there is no demonstration that it was coerced or that it was anything other than a gun manufacturer selling it, a kid stealing his keys to his dad's gun locker. Like, those cases, completely bullshit. Now, if the parents help the kid plan it, okay, yeah, in that case, sure. They're an accomplice. But simply not knowing where your kid is, or not knowing that they broke into your safe, not knowing that they, like, the fact that there's any other lawsuits even like this are, it shows just how coddled and how coddled the people have become, and how willing government is to use the force of state to create new law through judicial precedent by even allowing these. It's that aspect of the case didn't appear to be a heavy focus during oral arguments. However, what about anal arguments? That's really what this is. This is an anal argument because it's shit. Mexico presented an anal argument here. It is shit. Smith & Wesson attorney Noel Francisco said in a statement that the exceptions aren't relevant because they're not relevant, not because that. But also, okay, Mexico can't show a direct connection between the company's business practices and cartel violence. No shit. Like, and the judge that took the case in the first place at the lower court knew that. Because unless the person is saying, yes, I am making this gun specifically for you, person in the cartel, to use, not to shoot targets, to use to kill people, you can't prove, like, I'm mad. Education department to staffers. Quit by Monday and you'll get $25K in cash. The offer comes before what will be a very significant reduction in force. Education department officials write, "No, we'll take our chances with court." Take the money. U.S. Department of Education building seen in Washington. That's just describing a picture that's not here because reader is broken. The Education Department is offering a buyout of up to $25,000 to most of its employees, according to a department-wide email obtained by Politico. Employees have until Monday at 11:59 p.m. to make a decision. Jacqueline Clay, a chief human capital officer. I thought it was human resources. Human capital? That's just even... wrote in an email sent on Friday afternoon. This is a one-time offer in advance of a very significant reduction in force for the U.S. Department of Education, Clay wrote. Don't think that you can game it by, I'll see if I get a pink slip and take the severance or take the $25K if they try to fire me. Nope. You either get to quit or you might get fired when they do the lottery or whatever. Those who take the offer can stack it with retirement benefits. They will receive the equivalence of severance pay or $25,000, whichever is less, Clay wrote in an email. The offer would take effect March 31st. Most department employees are eligible. A few exceptions include those that are using disability retirement, received a student loan repayment benefit in the last 36 months, or was awarded a retention bonus in the last 12. The offer comes after every agency received a memo from the Office of Management and Budget and Office of Personnel Management on Wednesday stating that they had to submit agency RIF and reorganization plans by March 13th. Beware, beware, the Ides of March, you motherfucking welfare leeches. Fuck you. Space weather! A CME is still incoming. Like the scene in, I think it was Austin Powers, where he's on like the little steamroller thing, just like going really slow at the guy right before he fucking runs him over. March 1st, yeah, it's still the same one. So let's refresh page. The CME has arrived! A solar wind disturbance detected by NOAA's Discoverer spacecraft suggests that a CME has just passed near Earth. It was a near miss. We were expecting it to be a near miss. Still may produce a minor G1 magnetic storm on today or tomorrow. High latitude watchers, do your thing. Get out there. Get you some pretty lights in the sky thing going. Giant lightning underfoot. Can lightning reach space? Holy shit, look at the sprite there. That's nuts. Tremendous bolt from the Gulf of what? Gulf of what? The Gulf of what now? Where is that? You mean the Gulf of America? I wish there was a comment section. Let's see. Look at the pretty, pretty wind map. Ew, that low pressure system over the middle of the country looks gross. Low, high, high. So we got two high pressure systems either side as we go up into the atmosphere here. Jet stream. Damn, that looks broken. Almost. There, okay, that's better. Still, like, all kinked up. Dipping pretty low over the central part of the country. Up off of Alaska. Cold. Let's see, what is our TCW? Total cloud water. That's a lot of wetness. She's ready. Get her sounding like macaroni and cheese. And finally, closer look at that. A little loop. It looks like a hurricane, but it's over the middle of the country. It's just kind of, I don't even remember seeing any systems like moving in or anything like that. It's just kind of there. It is a low pressure system over Kansas City. God is punishing you for that pitiful fucking performance in February. 30 minutes until the State of the Union. I'm gonna kill this stream. I might be back to live stream my reaction and fact checking and inappropriate attempts at humor when the president starts talking, or I might watch somebody else do it. Haven't decided yet. I'll send out a notification if I do. Forgot to send one out for this though, but bye.